Today, you're going to learn how to book a round-trip business class flight to Japan using credit card points. Normally, a business class round-trip flight on ANA from the West Coast to Japan will run you a light $4,500. However, if you don't like spending 2 months worth of rent on 2 plane tickets, I'll show you how to use just 105,000 Virgin Mile points to book the same flight. As a matter of fact, I'll also show you how to get that same flight for even less than 105,000 Virgin Mile points by using your favorite credit cards. Before we jump right into it, I want to clarify that the strategy I will be going over is just specifically for all Nippon Airways or ANA flights. There are many different airlines you could take to Japan from the United States, such as Japan Airlines, United Airlines, Singapore Airlines, American Airlines, Hawaiian Airlines, and the list goes on and on. But in this video, we are strictly focusing on ANA. If you've never flown ANA before, that's okay. Let me tell you that they are a great airlines, probably one of the best airlines, if not the best airline to fly to Japan. I made a few videos flying in business class to and from Japan, so you can check that out in the link in the description. Or if you want to check out the specific flights that we'll be using for this example, you can click up here or by finding it in the description as well. The first step to booking a business class flight on ANA is to figure out which points to use. The most obvious answer is let's just use ANA miles, ANA points. All you have to do that is to head over to ANA's website, create an account or log in, and then hit award reservation, and you'll see this screen here where you can start inserting your information. Within ANA, there are a few little quirks that you kind of need to take note of, which I'll explain as we go along, because the first thing you must remember is if you book an award flight through ANA, it has to be a round trip. Most of the time when booking an award flight or a flight with points or miles, you have the ability to book just a one-way flight. And that's usually preferable because when you book just a one-way flight, there's a lot more availability as opposed to trying to find availability for a round trip. When you're able to book just a one-way, you could book that one-way in business or first class and then pay the other half of the flight coming back in cash or use another airline and fly business and first class with them. But no. ANA doesn't allow you to do that. It's hard enough to just find a one-way award availability, but now you have to find basically 2 one-way flights for a round trip that will fit your schedule. For example, let's say you find a one-way flight available on ANA on October 14th, but the only available return flight is on October 21st. Now you have to start to think, are you able to take off 2 weeks just to fly business class round trip to Japan? Or do you even want to stay in Japan for 2 weeks? Okay, yeah, you probably do. Well, another problem with booking an ANA business class flight using ANA points is that there is pretty much always a wait list for them. Take a look because this is a never-ending list of flights that you'll basically never be able to get on. With ANA in particular, you have extremely low odds of landing a flight that you are on the wait list for. That's why I don't recommend wasting your time with flights that you see a wait list. So instead, what can you do? ANA releases award flight availability 355 days in advance. That means whatever day you're watching this video, go to your calendar and see which day is 355 days from now, because that's the freshest, that's the newest award flights that you could snag up. And that's exactly what I did for this example right here to show you guys. No, the flight date is not exactly 355 days from the day that I searched, but it's relatively close. The day I searched for it was on June 10th, 2024, and the flight is for May 29th, 2025. I would recommend starting at 355 days out and slowly making your way backwards, looking at it day by day. For this flight specifically, you could see that it would cost us 105,000 ANA miles and a little over $500 in taxes and fees. But let's say 355 days from now is too far. You can't wait too long. You want to eat sushi now. Well, the good news is award availability also tends to open up for ANA within 14 days of the departure date. Yes, unfortunately, you're gonna have to either look way into the future or into the near future for the best chance of finding award availability. It is very unlikely that you'll find a flight in between those 2 time frames. It's not impossible, but it's also not very likely. Honestly, you have better odds though finding a flight in between those time frames than getting your name cleared on the wait list for ANA. So if you have ANA miles already in your account, then this is one way to book an ANA business class flight. However, if you don't have ANA points, you could transfer your American Express credit card points to ANA at a 1-to-1 ratio, Or if you have Marriott points, you could transfer your Marriott points to ANA at a 3-to-1 ratio, meaning every 3 Marriott points equals 1 ANA point. This can come in handy, especially when Amex has those limited time transfer bonuses where you could potentially earn a 30% transfer bonus when you transfer your Amex points to ANA, meaning your points could transfer at 1 Amex point to 1.3 ANA points. Okay, that was just one way to book an ANA business class flight using points, but it's also, in my opinion, the worst way, or at least not the ideal way. Now I'll be going over my preferred method to book those business class flights to Japan, and this time it involves Virgin Atlantic miles. And you might be thinking, how are Virgin Atlantic and ANA connected? Well, way back when, these two companies were actually one and were formed by two different people. Anna from ANA and Virgin from Virgin Atlantic together created the airline company Virgana. Unfortunately, Virgana ceased to exist in 1901 when it got separated, just 2 years before the airplane was invented. Ever since then, the two companies have lived in peace, one as Virgin Atlantic and the other as ANA. Yeah, I have no idea why they're related, but it doesn't really matter because what matters is they're connected somehow and we could use our Virgin Atlantic points to book ANA award flights. And that's all that we care about. If you Google ANA award chart Virgin Atlantic, you will see this chart here. Depending on where you're flying to and from, you're gonna have different costs for that flight in Virgin Atlantic miles. We are looking for Western USA flights to and from Japan, so we'll look at this row right here. And then you have 3 columns. The first column is how much it's going to cost you for a round-trip economy seat. The second column is how much it will cost you for a round-trip business class seat. And the third column is how much it will cost you for a round-trip first class seat. Once again, these numbers are in round trip, so if you want to find out the cost for a one-way flight, you just divide that number by 2. So for a Western USA to Japan business class one-way flight, it would cost us 52,500 Virgin Atlantic miles. Now that we have an idea of the cost, let's move on to how to find the award flight availability. One of the ways to do that is to look at ANA's website, like I showed you earlier, to find flights that you want. But ANA's website, personally, I think is hard to use and you have to search for round-trip flights, which again, may not be ideal. Instead, I like to look at United Airlines website. I know this could get a little bit confusing because why are we adding a third airline into this whole mix? I promise I'm not taking you on this wild goose chase. The reason why we use United Airlines website is because it is easier to use and because United is a Star Alliance partner with ANA. Since ANA and United are in the same alliance, that means United Airlines will show us ANA award flights availability. If you find an award flight available to be booked with points, right, award flight, on United's website, you're going to be able to book it through Virgin Atlantic. From United's website, you could just start off by entering your desired dates and hope that there is award availability during that time. Personally, again, when I do this, I'm looking for one-way flights specifically because once again, it's easier to find a one-way flight award availability than it is to find a round-trip award availability that works for you. Unfortunately, when it comes to award flights availability, the secret sauce is ultimately flexibility. If you are able to fly whenever you want, that is the cheat code. You'll have a way greater chance of finding an available flight compared to someone who is limited to just one specific week out of the year to travel. So if you are flexible or if you're able to wait last minute to travel, I would recommend looking for those departing flight dates within 14 days of the day that you were looking. Because once again, that is your highest probability of finding award availability. I'm not saying it's impossible to find award flight availability for your desired dates outside of 14 days, but it's just, again, not very likely, not very probable. Worth a shot, but not likely. You may as well take a look anyway. Now, when it comes to dates, there are a few things to keep in mind. Number one, Virgin Atlantic only allows you to book flights 330 days in advance. That may be problematic because ANA releases flights 355 days in advance. So you might find an available flight within that 20-day difference, but you will not be able to book it through Virgin Atlantic. You're gonna have to use your ANA points through ANA Airlines. Number two is that if you wanna book an award flight with Virgin Atlantic, it has to be at least 48 hours in the future. The flight cannot be within 48 hours from the day you're trying to book it. So if today is Monday, you cannot book an award flight with Virgin Atlantic on Tuesday or Wednesday. You're gonna have to look for a flight that is Thursday. That would be the soonest flight you could take. And the third thing to keep in mind is that you can only book an ANA business class flight with Virgin Atlantic that is non-stop. It cannot have any layovers anywhere. Keep those things in mind as you're trying to look for that flight on United Airlines. When I was searching for an up-to-date example for this video, I actually did not find any flights within 14 days of the day I looked, which was actually kind of a surprise. I had to keep checking day by day until I found a flight that matched for August 8th. Here you can see that it is a non-stop flight from LAX to Narita Airport, and it is available to be booked with points, as you can see here in this last box under business class. Another key thing to note is that the flight has to say operated by All Nippon Airways. You can find that information underneath the flight details here, because if you don't see that, then it's just a United Airlines flight and you won't be able to use your Virgin Atlantic miles to book it, and it also won't be an ANA flight. Technically, you could book the flight right here for 110,000 United miles and $5.60 in taxes and fees. This could be great for someone who has a lot of United Airlines miles that they're trying to get rid of, and if you don't want to spend a lot of cash. That's because although Virgin Atlantic will charge us only 52,500 points for this same exact flight, the taxes and fees with them is going to cost us around $250 to $300. So you could choose to go with United Airlines, where you pay a lot more in miles but a lot less in cash, or you could choose to go with Virgin Atlantic, which costs a lot more in cash but a lot less in miles. Now that we found the specific flights that we want, this is how you actually purchase it with your Virgin Atlantic miles. All you have to do is call the number on your screen right here. I sound like an infomercial. I'm not selling OxyClean, ShamWows, none of that. Anyway, we're gonna cut to a video of me because I recorded myself calling this number and talking to Virgin Atlantic to show you exactly what you need to do if you wanted to book this specific flight that we just found. Here's the phone number that you need to call. I'm also gonna put it on the screen. I saved it under Virgin Atlantic booking, so we're gonna go ahead and call that number now and show you the process.
Thanks for calling Virgin Atlantic Flying Club Red. Just so you know, we record our calls to help us give you the best service. Just so you know, our calls are recorded to keep our customer service sky high.
Thank you for calling Virgin Atlantic. This is Nick. How may I help?
Hi there, I was looking into booking an award flight, please, with ANA using my Virgin points.
Okay, so where are you looking to travel from and to?
I'm looking to travel from Los Angeles, LAX to Tokyo, Narita.
Okay, what date are you looking to travel?
I am looking for August 8th, 2024.
And how many passengers would be traveling?
Sorry, I think you're breaking up. I don't know if your microphone is rubbing something or like it's plugged in halfway. It's a little muffly. Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, and how many passengers would be traveling?
Oh, perfect. That's way better. Just one.
And what class of travel were you looking to book?
Business class, please.
And as the Flying Club account holder, are you the passenger traveling?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Just bear with me a few moments. And could you confirm your full name for me, please?
It's going to be first name Chase, Chase. Last name Yokoyama, Yokoyama.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Chase. And do you have any middle name on your passport?
I don't.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I'll bear with me a few moments. Okay, so from LAX to Tokyo Narita on the 8th of August 2024, departing on the NH05, can we close for me, departing at 1:10 p.m, arriving into Narita at 4:30 p.m. the following day. It is available and confirmed is a business class seat. It will be 52,500 miles, $250.80 in taxes.
Okay. Sorry, it was 52,500 miles, and then how much in taxes again?
$250.80.
$250.80. Okay, perfect. I still need to transfer over my points, so I won't make that confirmation on this phone call just yet.
Okay, certainly, no problem.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, that's my pleasure. Thank you for calling. I hope to speak to you shortly.
Thank you. Hopefully. Take care. Have a good day.
Okay, and
Bye-bye.
you, Chase. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Overall, the whole procedure is pretty easy to do. You just answer basic questions, tell them which flight you found, and give them your information and credit card information, and you're all set to go. A little tip is to call Virgin Atlantic to confirm first that that flight is even available to be purchased with points before you transfer your credit card points to Virgin Atlantic. Because once you transfer your points to Virgin Atlantic, you can't transfer them back to your credit card. So you kind of want to make sure you could book the flights first before you send your points over to a less flexible program. As of the time of recording, you can transfer your Amex, Chase, Citi, Bilt, and Capital One points to Virgin Atlantic. And like I mentioned earlier, hopefully you can take advantage of a transfer bonus that a lot of those programs tend to offer. Once you figure out which credit card program to use, and after calling and confirming that the flight is available, you could then transfer your credit card points to your Virgin account and call back Virgin to confirm the purchase. That is how you book an ANA business class flight using credit card points. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Be sure to check out one of my videos here showing you what exactly comes with your seats on ANA's business class. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on a Virgin flight in the near future. Shoots.